Hi, this is Lynn from Kathy Quilts University, and today we are starting our new 5-part series. This is going to cover basics for people just getting started. We will have other advanced classes as well, but we figured this was a really good place to start out. First off, we want to start off with 5 tips that would be very helpful to get you started. We want to have this be a short video as it's the introduction, but we will have expanded videos that cover these topics in more depth. First off, quilting machine basics. If you don't understand how your machine works and you get bad stitches or you have other things, then you're going to be really frustrated. So we want to help you avoid that. Second, we want to teach you how your quilting frame works. And so we can talk about different quilting frames. There's hoop frames, there's rolling rail frames. And so we want to help you with that. Pulling your bobbin thread at the top of your quilt doesn't seem like it'd be that big of a deal, but it really does make a huge difference. Sewing off your machine and checking the tension. This is something that's so simple and so basic, but many quilters have never learned this technique. So we'll show you a little video on that as well. Taking your first stitches. It's really important when you're first getting started that you get started on the right path for quilting. There's a lot of people that think, oh, I'll just follow edge to edge pantograph patterns. Well, yeah, you could do that, but pantograph pattern isn't always the best option for your quilt, or meandering or stippling is also kind of an old school technique that doesn't do a lot for your quilts generally. So we want to cover that as well. So thanks for coming. We'll go ahead and cover all these 5 topics, and then we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe and share so that more people can enjoy these tips and tricks, and also share the other videos as well as we come out with them. Thank you. This is a quick overview of the parts of a longarm machine. This happens to be a Grace Company Qnique 21X Elite, but all of these parts are going to be universal for any longarm, and domestic sewing machines will have some of the similar things. On this one, it does have a display, and it's a touch screen, which is really nice. It allows you to change the regulation modes. So there's a precise, cruise, manual mode is not regulated, and then there's a based mode. So that's pretty awesome. You can change the stitch length. This one has handles where you can guide it in the front of your machine. That's really nice. The thing that makes a longarm different from a domestic machine is this hopping foot right here. Since this doesn't have feed dogs, you have to have a hopping foot to be able to compress the layers. This is a special longarm needle, and if you follow the thread up, you'll see here's the thread tension. So this is where 99% of your problems are going to be solved when you have tension issues. You can see this goes up through there, and then there's a thread mast. We have 2 cones of thread on here. One is for bobbin thread, and the other one is the thread that we're stitching with. You have to have cone thread come off the top. You can see that they're tapered And if you don't have them that way, then you can run into problems. Or if you have spool thread, you can't have it come off your thread nest. Here you have wheels so that your machine can roll forward and back. Your machine frame will have a carriage that the machine will sit on. If you have a domestic machine, then you won't have wheels on your machine, but it would sit on an upper plate. So this machine is stitch regulated. The other thing that's really important is understanding that this will have encoders that send a signal to the machine through those wires, and it tells it how fast you're moving your machine, and that way you can regulate the stitch length. These are the channel locks that actually come with the machine frame, but by locking those you can make it so that it will only go forward and back or go side to side. This area inside the arm of your machine, that's called the harp, and that's also where they get throat length. So when you measure from the needle to the inside of your machine, that's the length. So this is a 21-inch machine. This is a machine frame. This one happens to be Quilter's Evolution Elite frame by the Grace Company. You can see it has 3 rails. There's going to be a take-up rail. So as you're quilting, your quilt will gather up on this rail. There's a quilt top rail, which, let's get over here. The quilt top is right here, and it will roll up on this rail. And then this is the quilt back rail. In another video, we'll show how to load a quilt on, how to pin it on your frame. This frame is made to telescope in and out so that you can have a larger machine on here if you need to, all the way up to a 24-inch. This one also has bungee clamps to give you side tension. So this is the bungee clamp. If I click this button right here, I can shove that on there, and then that will give it side tension. So there's 2 clamps, and put those on there like that. I can also let this out, and that will give me more bungee cord, and I can adjust this, slide this where I need it, and then when I want to tighten that up, just push that in and pull it down. You don't want to have this too tight, you just need a little bit of side tension. After I have quilted the whole area that I want to quilt, then I need to release this one and this one, and you can see in there it has metal gears, but now this will roll. So over on this one I don't need to release it, but I can roll it like that, and then that's how you advance your quilt. After you advance your quilt, then smooth it out. Use your hand, just kind of smooth it. And that way it'll make it work a lot better. So now I'll have a new place that I can quilt. This is what we call a Seof piece. This one happens to have a polyester bat, but typically when you're sewing off, you want to have the same batting that you have on the quilt that's going to be on your frame. After you have oiled your machine, you don't want to take a chance on getting oil on your quilt. And so just in case any oils come down the needle, you want to stitch on this. So I bring my bobbin thread up and I hold both tails like that. And now I can turn this on. And if I hold this piece like this, I can sew back and forth, and then I'll go over to the edge, and then I'll pull this, and I'll look underneath to see my stitches. And the stitch regulation obviously isn't going to work because this isn't connected to that, but you can see I have pretty good stitches. If my stitches don't look good, then I can tighten my top tension or loosen it to get what I need. But anytime you have problems with your tension on your quilt, it's always a good idea to roll it over here and stitch on a sew-off piece, because if it works on the sew-off piece but it doesn't work on your quilt, then you know that the problem is with the way you have your quilt loaded. You have it too tight, or there's any number of things that could be going on with that. After locking that channel lock, then it makes it so my machine doesn't move forward and back, but it will go side to side. So now I just want to pull my bobbin thread up and make some lines. And now we'll do a straight line across. That's good enough.
You mark it every inch or something, it makes them even more.
Thank you for watching our video. In our next video, we're going to cover what you need to know before you get started quilting. We'll go into more depth of cleaning your machine, oiling it, thread, and things like that. So please stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and welcome again to Kathy Quilts University.